episode number 28 with Amanda Rodriguez.
From Real.
Real Teak. So it's kind of a tongue twister right there.
Yeah.
So as you can see, we're actually at her office. So this is a little bit different location. Me and Patty have been talking about going outside of the association and going into a realtor's office or even a new studio. So this is first time that we are outside of our normal spot, but maybe we'll make this a thing.
I like it.
It's
you
new.
gave me the
I like
option. I was like, hey.
I like the lighting in here. I was like, that was the only thing I was really concerned
Yeah.
with when Patty was like, hey, do you mind doing it at Amanda's? I'm like, no, not at all.
Yeah.
I'm only concerned about the lighting.
And all her videos look really good. I think we'll be okay.
I have the good Main Street lighting right here. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really nice. We are downtown on Main Street, right across the street from Bob Hart Square.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice location downtown, Main Street in Merced. And this place has grown a lot down Main Street. You know, you're from Merced, right?
I'm from Merced. My mom's from Merced. My grandmother is from Merced. So I'm second generation here. Yeah.
Nice.
Do you speak Spanish?
I do. No
Nice.
perfecto, pero I feel like, yeah.
See, I only know like transactions when I was working at Travis Credit Union. So I know like the transactions,
Numbers.
like numbers and stuff like that. So that was really easy for me to do. But outside
That's
of that.
why I lose it, the numbers.
The
where I'm like,
numbers?
we're like talking 300,000,
Oh,
you know.
300,000
Yeah.
y-
Interest rates.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I
I
think
can't see interest
though
rates or anything
families
like that.
do like the effort, you know.
Yes.
They at least try.
For sure,
They
for
appreciate.
sure.
I think Hispanic culture likes to be helped, or any culture. 'cause
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
like to be helped in
Explained
their own
through.
language.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you get into real estate?
How did I get into real estate? I know, and honestly, I was thinking about it. It's like a lot of today will always reflect back to my mom and grandma.
Good.
You know?
That's good.
So it always kind of comes back to them. Like in this chapter of life, I always joke that like I feel like my mom's my husband and my grandma's my child because we care for my grandma. She's 93 this year.
Okay.
She has dementia, and so it's
that's
like
that's a special
full-time
spot.
job.
Like
Yeah.
I know a lot that goes behind dementia, and a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So, but no,
Yes.
I know exactly where you're coming from when
Yeah.
it comes to dementia. And stuff.
So probably we'll unpack it a little bit more later, but
yeah.
that's kind of, you know, I graduated from Merced High 2010. My parents also went through a divorce that year. And, you know, my parents are both in my life. They're
That's good.
amazing parents. My dad is an amazing dad. Maybe wasn't the best husband. So senior year divorce, and I was going to go to a 4-year, and I was like, Dad, because my dad's from Livermore.
Okay.
So my dad, you know, is from Livermore. He was a little older when he met my mom, but he was visiting Merced at a soccer event out here that my mom was serving at the beer gardens at the fairgrounds.
Oh, okay.
So that's how they met, and they
wow.
were married for, you know, a couple decades. But when they divorced, my dad did move back to Livermore. So I followed Dad. I was like, I don't want him to be alone at this new chapter of his life. So I was out there. I was working at a bakery at like 18 in Dublin, right off the freeway.
Yeah.
And this is why I always talk to like the younger generation and tell them, you know, make sure you're always kind of on your toes, you know, making sure that you're saying hello, good morning, or you're remembering people's names, or even on a job like where you're at the register, you know, because it led into an opportunity. There was a group of gals that would always come in for lunch, and they were all like leasing agents, but the community manager, the boss, was with them. And just one day, like a couple months in, she offered me a job, a leasing position job for 550 units right there in San Ramon. I was
That's a
like,
lot
I'm
of
only,
doors.
I was going to school at night. I was working during the day. I was like, I'm barely 18. I have no sales experience. She's like, we'll train you. And that led into like a 7-year career between the Bay Area to then moving down south to the LA area, Long Beach, where I was selling apartments and kind of moving around and up for really mainly one company. And so going back to, you know, where grandma and my mom come in, there was really no plan to move back to Merced at that time in my 20s, honestly. I was living the life by the beach downtown, Long Beach. And I came home just for a weekend to visit mom and grandma. I know that, you know, my grandma had gone to the hospital for a stint. I wasn't really sure like the depths of it.
Right.
And that was really when the dementia was kind of really showing itself.
Right.
She had moved in with my mom she was living in Beechwood, but she started forgetting her key in the door. You know, kind of who took my purse, who moved this. And so it was time for her to move out and in with my mom. And I think it was just kind of seeing the work that my mom was already doing, and then just my grandma's state. I was driving back to LA and just like an internal dialogue with myself, something telling me like I needed to move home.
It's kind of crazy you have those drive, like especially the long ones, like you have a conversation with yourself. There's like music playing on the radio, but you're like not even knowing what's on there, and you're just I do a lot of my thinking when I'm driving, and even though it's only like a 10-15 minute drive from Atwater to Merced, like I'm always constantly thinking, but like, oh, maybe I should do this.
Yeah.
And then like a few times where my mom will call me, hey, you know, we have a problem. It's like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, we don't mind your kids staying over, but you know, we want them to take a nap. I was like, it's funny that you say that. I was literally talking to myself about that.
it. Oh my gosh.
So it's like, I was like, I'm doing an open house just down the street. I'll pick them up right after that, and then you know we'll go. That was just this past weekend.
Especially in what we do and all the conversations that we have. Sometimes, like from appointment to appointment, I just turn off the music and I'm like, I run the conversation back, you know, and things like that. I'm an infant, so I'm also like, how could I have done that better?
Yeah.
What could I have said in there, you know? And just, or even going into a listing appointment, you know, it's just like preparing yourself.
Rehearsing.
Yeah,
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
in those car rides. So,
that's a common thing. Like when you
I think
know
that's why
you're-
cars are important to all of us.
yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like you think about a lot of stuff. Like, oh my, okay, like especially if you're, I don't know for me, but like for me, it's like I'm nervous. It's like, okay, I got a game plan. I gotta map out my conversation the entire time that I'm going. If he asks this or if she asks this, what do I say? Like, okay, how do I look that up? Like, okay, and then like you get to the office and you do all your research and then you get there and it's completely different.
Right. Whole different thing.
Which it happens all the time, but it's like, hey, well, at least I prepared something and I wasn't nervous going to start the conversation.
Yes.
So you started preparing management. And then decided to become a realtor.
When I moved back to Merced, I was like, I could probably go and apply to be a leasing agent somewhere here in the Central Valley. I was like, I don't want to work for anyone anymore. And real estate was like, okay, it wasn't like on the forefront, like I want to be a realtor, but
How old were you? Sorry.
This time, it was like 2017, not to date myself, you know.
Stop.
It was like 25.
But yeah, okay, you know,
My
because
mid-20s.
she's
I know, I'm just
basically in her 20s saying,
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
still
want to
mid-20s.
have a boss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And to go from saying, I don't
Yeah.
want to have a boss when you're 25 or younger,
Yeah.
that's pretty.
to actually making it a
That is a pretty
reality.
massive step.
Yeah.
It's a massive step
Yeah.
at 25 because I still think of like now that I'm older, it's like 25. I was still a kid, like
Right.
you know, and I
No,
still
yeah.
think that like your brain is still not fully developed until you're about 25, 26 years old.
Yeah.
And so you got a real estate license.
Yes, I was already like looking always at homes. Like my parents grew me up going into the models, so I had like a little bit of a connection with it. So I went to YouTube University and enrolled in YouTube University. I
my
was,
favorite
you know,
thing to use.
I love sale. I mean, I love even with the leasing. Sometimes I would say if you leased out 5 apartments, you get a bonus. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. Like give me anything with the goal and a number now
Very
behind
competitive.
it, you know. So I was like, okay, this will probably be for me. So yeah, I already started going into the Keller Williams Fresno office even before I got licensed, as I was preparing for my exam.
Nice.
And just got to kind of know the ins and outs, the top players there. I think Jared Martin, he was our president of CAR at the time. He was in that office. Like, so some real,
wow.
Central Valley producers that I was kind of starting to step around.
Nice.
Then November 18th, what did we say? It was the
It was election.
Gubernatorial.
gubernatorial election. I just remember I took my exam. They tell you don't look at your results. I'm going down the elevator and I kind of opened it. Congratulations, you know.
Yeah.
And then went and voted. so that was my day.
Nice.
So that was November 18th or 8th or around
Yeah, I
there.
think now, I don't know about
2018.
for real estate, but I know like when I took my lending license test, it told me right there, like the computer right there.
Oh,
I
really?
was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. So.
No, they pass it to you, staple that bad boy up.
And they say don't look at it until
don't
you're.
look at it.
Why is that?
Just like till you're out of the testing area.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
But
So maybe
Yeah.
don't distract
I
people.
Yeah.
guess the elevator's okay, right?
yeah. So that's now going on 7 years.
And so
Yeah.
from getting your license
Yes.
to being here
sole
today, because
agent,
you have your own office.
Yeah.
You're a solid agent. You're
Right.
a very successful agent.
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
I think many people look up to you online. Your social media is good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
you do have a good following.
You
Yeah.
know, so like it's like how do you go from like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my license and I don't want to have a boss to
Mm-hmm.
where you are today?
I always stem a lot of it back to the team that I started with, Strive Real Estate at Keller Williams Fresno. They're now with Real Brokerage, with my same brokerage, but Cam and Darren Wade, they're a husband and wife team that have just grown their business to, immense, like they're like the top in the Fresno area. And Cam, I mean, she was an amazing buyer's agent at that time. Now she does both sides, but she really taught me how to write up contracts, you know, just how to talk to clients, buyer's consultation, and Darren's amazing on the listing side. And so it was really that. I was with them for about a year before I decided to make the jump from Fresno to Merced. And then in Merced, I was like, let me just do my own thing. I did join another cloud-based brokerage at that time, which is now, I feel like, our local agents are now starting to join, but back when I joined it, everyone's like, ES what? You know, they didn't really know about it. I like coming in on infancies of things, especially when there's stocks involved, because I came in at a really low cost for the stock. And so I was with EXP for about a year because there was no Keller Williams in Merced at that time. Mo Jawad had just had Property Team.
Oh, okay. This is right before.
Before. So then Mo took over, you know, made that into Keller Williams. And I do like the Keller Williams model. I have like the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I think every agent should read that. That's like the blueprint of how we should maintain our business and look at it as business owners. And so I was with Keller Williams Merced until again, I decided I just kind of want to do my own thing again, you know, and create my own space. So that's where I kind of have landed with a lot in between and
with
a lot of
in between.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. How does, because are you the only child?
I'm a middle child.
You're the middle child.
Yes.
So how does your family play a role in your
So
career?
I would say my mom's like the biggest like inspiration to all of it, to finance part. I'm, you know, from me moving out at 18 and affording my own apartment at a young age, you know, in the Bay Area at that time. And then all of that. I mean, so my mom always had a rule for my older sister and I. You know, once we got into high school and we wanted to go out with our friends, every Saturday on MSNBC, there's a woman named Susie Orman.
Okay.
We know Susie Orman. It's like a Dave Ramsey figure, right?
Yeah.
And she would make us watch that at 8 before we could go. So soon enough, we were like really like into it, you know, like she's teaching you about 401ks. Yeah. They talk about savings and a lot of things that we're really at that age, most of us, especially my culture, we don't get educated about.
Correct.
And so I really commend like my mom for putting that, instilling that in us. But my favorite segment was the end where it was like, show me the money. People would call in. They're like, Susie, I want to buy a boat. And she's like, show me your numbers. And they're like, I have this mortgage. I have this debt. And she's like, heck no, you can't buy that boat. And we would always play like, oh, she's going to say no to Jerry right here, you know, like or on this one where the numbers made sense. So it kind of got me going on, you know, how I should save and invest.
Yeah. So just to piggyback on that, like with the part of like, you know, our culture, they are not really educated in finances, which, you know, there's a lot of people out there that do prey and take advantage of that. And it's like, I tell my wife all the time, it's like, I despise people that take advantage of certain people for not knowing the finance side of it. Because I hear it all the time. Oh, yeah, I got this phone for free. I'm like, dude, that phone was not free. There's strings attached to it.
Somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow there's strings attached to it. So, you know, we get into larger scales, like when it comes to like buying a home. And I mean, I'm not trying to rag on it. No. There are still definitely people out there that do that. And it's just when you see, there's times where I've gotten a client and they're like, oh, yeah, they were pre-approved. And you look at the numbers and I'm like,
I know.
How? Yeah. Like, and then I go and I tell the realtor, I was like, dude, there's just no way. I saw their income. I had it processed. There's just no way.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, yeah, they were pre-approved for $400,000. I take a look and I was like, dude, only two. Like,
only two.
Yeah, only two. Like, there's no way.
I go into every meeting with the buyer assuming they're green to it until they tell me they're not, you know, and like, oh, I already know that. But I have my home buyer packet. I take it from the very simplest part of like what's a deposit, like pre-approval, you know, and my goal is to always educate, you know, the buyer. I always tell my clients, I want you to know this process so well that at the end of it, you can tell your cousin like how to buy a house. Like, you know, like you can go get your real estate license. I'm big on the education. And so when I go to work with lenders and extensions, like I tell lenders, like, please, I need you to expand on the education part of it too. Because I work with a lot of first-time home buyers just with my age. Like my friends are getting their lives all the way together. They're getting married. They're getting their careers. And now it's their time. So I end up working with a lot of first-time home buyers, just how it is.
They are my favorite too. Especially when they have like no idea what's going on. I was like, hey, look.
Yeah.
Let's breathe a little bit. Right. You're going to be okay. You know, I just had one close last Thursday and he was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I've known him since, I guess I was one of his first friends when he came to Merced.
Right.
So like I had like a really close connection connection to him, like, hey, look, man, I got you. You know, just send me the numbers and we'll get it squared away. And on Thursday, or was it Thursday or Friday? I can't remember when we actually met at his new house. And he's like, I just want to thank you. Like, I couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah.
Like, and then Brian Mai was the realtor for him.
Sweetheart.
He was another one that he met through St. Patrick's Church. So, like, the three of us, we prayed, you know, for him and stuff like that. So it was like a
Love
really
it.
like, he's
I
like,
know.
his wife was like, oh man, when I did this for my mom, it was completely different. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well that's
Yeah.
good. She was
Who you
stressed.
work with matters a lot.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Like
She's-
your agent.
She
your
was like
lender.
stressed out. Like the first time I met her, she was stressed, and I
Yeah.
was like, hey, it's gonna be okay.
Right.
I
Have to
got
be that
you.
way.
I'll take your hand the
Yeah.
whole way. Was there for doc signing. So
We have to remember, for most people, this is the biggest purchase
It is.
that they'll make in their life. You know,
is.
it's very overwhelming, and there's a lot of like emotional intelligence that you have to have in this industry and caring for your clients. You know, like I have a buyer that just stepped into escrow, and I told them, you know, I'm going to back off the first couple days because the lender's probably going to hound you for what this deposit
Yes.
was. I need your new pay
Yes.
stub. I don't want you to get it from every angle, you know. So let me kind of navigate
Yes.
and start to coordinate inspections, you know. So it's just you have to kind of be a step or two ahead.
Yeah, and I just had one, like I had that one closed, and then like an hour or two later, I had one right into escrow, and it's like, all right,
Nice.
I'm not going to call him until Monday.
Yes.
It's Thursday.
Yeah.
You gotta give
He,
people.
he's
their space.
Yeah.
he's
Let
got a
me-
30-day escrow, so
Let me let them sit on that.
yeah, he's
That
got a
simmer
30-day
bit.
escrow. I think we're going to
Yeah,
be okay.
yeah.
So
Well,
I called him today, and I was like,
Yeah.
hey, look, you know, congratulations on getting into escrow. He's like, I don't know what to do. I was like, okay,
Then
that's
look.
exactly why I called.
That's what I'm here
Well, let's go back to
for.
my home buyer packet. Open that up.
Yeah, let's-
we are now
let's-
on step 3.
Yeah, let's calm down. We're,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to be looking at rates. Don't worry about that yet.
Right.
We're barely in the opening part
Yeah.
of it. Like, we're going to be okay. If I ask for anything, get it to me as soon as possible because it will help speed the process up.
Yeah,
So.
definitely.
What would you say were some of your biggest challenges early
So
on?
I came in when I really like moved to Merced. I was starting to get into content. You know, my mom always nagged on me for like the Snapchat days, and I'm like, "Look, mom, it worked out." You know.
So this is how I know about you, full story.
Okay.
I asked somebody when I was with Randy at the time, who's Amanda, right? Because everybody at the time was talking, they still are, but like Amanda Rodriguez on social media, she's like, she made a reel and blew up. That's how we know her at the office. And so that's how I know you.
Okay.
So back to the, back
yeah.
to how you were sharing social
Yeah.
media, and like what were some of your...
I just was like, it has to be about education, you know, like I didn't want to, I've never kind of jumped into the trends or anything of what was going on, like just different, like, I don't want to like call out anybody, but it's just, you know, I wanted to stick with educating people. So then the pandemic happened, and 2020, I had a good year. I think about in the 20s as far as transactions, or no, 2019, and then 2020 happened. And I was like, where do I go with content? We're in literally a health crisis. Nobody wants to see me on a screen talk about buy a house, you know? And so what I started to do was do the Zoom calls, like with Robert Delina or like a credit repair specialist, you know, so people could know what they could be doing now just for the future, like how
Yeah.
they could work on their credit now and save. But then what happened was I started getting messages from like a lot of renters, because at that time I think a lot of people that were renting homes got a little scared, as we all did, about so many things going on, right?
Yeah.
And that fear mindset took over of like, could my landlord pull out my house? You know, so I started to get that.
Because when I was in 2020, I was with Travis, and a lot of people were freaking out about and they were pulling money left and right. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, like
Yes.
you don't need to do that.
You're
Like I was
right.
telling, I was like, well, how am I going to access my money? And I was like, you have a debit card.
Yeah, you have,
Like,
yeah, exactly.
You can pull transactionally. You can do $5,000 a day. You
Yeah.
only have 4. You're gonna be fine.
Right.
You're gonna be fine. You
Yeah.
don't need that much cash on you. So like
Right.
there was a lot of fear, and then I had to remind them, look, here's our packet about like how you're federally insured by the NCUA, like up to 250,000, you're gonna be fine.
Right.
So-
Yeah. So I think that's the thing with content. You kind of
Yeah.
have to pivot. You have to read the room. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of times. There was a video I recorded with my videographer, and I didn't post it. You know, like the world's a crazy time right now, and I don't want to drain it down people's throat. Like, create sense of urgency for people, like you have to buy type
Right.
of thing. So there's content I don't post either. You just have to be really mindful of what's going on also in the world, and knowing that not everybody has the same feed as us. Not everybody's like all into buying a house or anything like that. So I just try to make content for those that are already hand raisers And that's where a lot of my followers are. They're wanting to learn about buying a house. They connect with my content. And then I kind of make myself personalized, by bringing in grandma on some clips, showing, what I'm doing, co-ed softball or whatever, that I am a human too. And then that's what allows my messages to kind of open up for people. And so it allows that channel
it's
too.
pretty crazy because a lot of people don't want to see like real estate lending.
No.
Like they want to see like everybody talks about the 80-20 split. So like I even pivoted away from like stop like doing the like videos like of talking about lending, and then I've posted pictures of my boys and my wife, and like matter of fact we just got back from a trip this past weekend, and that did better than any video that I've ever like produced and stuff. So
I think content over the years has really changed too. Like remember Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Gary V, he was big into I really feel like it's not like hustle mode anymore. People want more soft lives. I want a soft life. I don't, because going into 2020, that ended up being my best year. I did 53 deals.
Really?
Nice.
It was a great year for me, but I burnt out, and I wasn't like all the way happy with things. So do I want another year like that? I mean, maybe if I delegate some tasks, and make it make sense, but it was a lot. It was definitely a lot. So I think as we can spread ourselves and remind ourselves that life's about family. It's not always about just like making the most money too.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason. Like every time I had a child, I changed jobs.
Really?
It's like, so I was at Travis Credit Union.
Yeah.
Let me back up. So in 2019, December 7th of 2019, me and Erica got married. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get back. I'm done doing the whole banking thing. And I just, I need to move on from this. COVID
December
happened.
2019? I was just going to say right
December
before.
of 2019.
You're like, did you hit me?
Yeah, December of 2019. I was like, you know what? I want to do something that's completely different. I don't want to be in banking.
Yeah.
That happens. So COVID happens. I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm going to be stuck here for a little bit longer. So Erica gets pregnant. Okay, once Maverick is born, then I'm out. And sure enough, I was out and went into marketing. Boating was like really hot at that time, so it was perfect time for me to jump into marketing. Well, then they're like, okay, well, you need to go to Arizona. First month I'm in Arizona, and I was like getting on the plane, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, if this is what it's going to be. Sure enough, traveling away from my family. I have a 4-month-old son, and I'm like, I got back, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this like long term. So in 21, my other son is born, or 2022 he was born, and that's when I hit up Joe. Like literally, so it was August 4th when I passed my license, and then on August 8th my son was born, and and then I started just doing home loans with Joe since then. So
That's crazy.
So no more kids. There's no more job change.
There you go. Yeah.
It takes a lot of discipline and sacrifice
Oh, yeah.
to be a top performer.
That's what they say. Yeah.
It is. Convince me otherwise.
No. I mean, I invest in coaching.
Okay.
Almost as much as I pay for this office, I pay in Tom Ferry coaching.
Okay.
But it's beneficial to me. I'm on a call with my coach Tori every week. It puts me in a mastermind with amazing agents around the country too, and that's what me and Tori talk about. Like I mentioned, I don't have kids. Like I'm not taking anybody to school in the morning. I shift my days. With my grandmother, if I wake her up and I see she's a little more verbal and positive, I'm going to take an extra hour to have breakfast with her before I come in the office, but the discipline as far as that, like I'm big into the gym, I'm big into just my calendar. I time block. I learned time blocking from a very, very early stage in my career. Everything, a lunch with a friend, a nail appointment, it's all in my calendar. So I go straight to that when somebody brings up, can you meet at 2? I'm like, can I meet at 2? Yeah.
Hector was huge about that. And I never was organized like as a kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't. I just like living my life. And then like Hector's like, dude, you need to be prepared.
Have to.
You need to be prepared. And it's like, I had forgotten about it, and I was always good about like remembering things, and then I started forgetting about things because like life is so busy. If I don't have it on a calendar, I'm gonna completely forget now. So like ever since he told me, he's like, dude, start using your calendar. My calendar is my boss.
Yeah.
So like once he said that, and we read the book, the seven
Habits.
Yeah, the seven habits, and that was all about like
people, Stephen Covey.
Yes, and he's like, dude, plan your week out. Plan your week out. So now it's now a habit of like, okay, I'm gonna put that on my calendar so I don't forget.
Yeah.
And then like when people hit me up, hey, what do you got going on this day? Let me look at my calendar so I can.
Yeah.
I got something booked at that time. Let's do something different. So.
I color code it. It's a great way also of tracking numbers. If I look back and I'm like, how many listing appointments did I take in 2025? It's LA in yellow, buyer's consultation. So it's really good at tracking your numbers too.
Yeah, I've even linked it from my
great
phone
idea.
Yeah.
to my work calendar. So now it's like if I put it on my work calendar, it's going to pop up
everything.
on my phone.
Yeah.
So
I got purple for personal care. Like, why is my whole day purple today?
I'm taking
Self-care
care. It's a,
day.
Hair, nail, yeah.
Yeah. My sister asked my son the other day, 'cause he's graduating Thursday, can I take you for dinner on Monday? And so he's like, I need to check my calendar. My
Yes.
kids are on their
That's
calendar
good.
too.
That's
That's such a flex to be like, I gotta check my
You gotta
calendar.
get check my calendar.
yeah, now it's like my calendar used to be like very dry, and now it's just
Yeah.
like completely filled. I'm like,
We should control our days, you know. We
Yeah,
should be
absolutely.
in the driver's seat for sure.
How did opening your own office
Yeah.
started?
Come to fruition.
Yeah, come to fruition.
Well, it all comes to, you know, joining Real Brokerage.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cloud-based brokerage, and aside from, you know, splits and the cap being like the best in the industry, it allows you for multiple income streams, and that's what I'm about. I mean, I was just on the phone with an agent who called to get some. I felt like both her feet were already in the door of where she was going, because the next day she
She just
posted
did
about that she changed. I think she just wanted to just hear my side of what I had going. And one thing I said was, you know, I don't want to do this at this level, right? Like
Yeah.
posting content every day, replying to clients at 10 o'clock like I do. I don't want to do this into my 40s, into my 50s. There needs to be a cap on it. Eventually, maybe I do want to have a family, and I want to devote my time there. So my goal is to kind of not all the way pull out. I'll always keep my license, you know, for my deals, my family's deals, friends' deals, but I just won't like be at that level of trying to attract as many
Right.
leads. Maybe past 40 I'm giving myself. So I've got 8 years to be in your guys' face at all times, you know, and that's what a brokerage like this allows me to do. It allows me to have, you know, some retirement streams. I mean, as realtors, we don't have 401ks. We've
Right.
got to plan for that. So that's what I like about this. So the point of the office, there's a segment in some brokerages that allow for revenue share. One, I wanted a space for myself. You know, I wanted a space to be in the downtown community. I have a lot of friends here that are business owners. There's been a revitalization happening since you know, for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For years. So now I feel like there's so much going on. So I wanted to be here. But the grand, you know, final destination of this is attracting agents. I don't like the word recruiting. I'll never recruit an agent. But I will say I have some like top agents in towns that are in my DMs right now. And there should be some announcements coming this year,
Cool.
you know, because I see this as a space of collaboration
Yeah.
where we could talk about, hey, how did that appraisal go? Hey, what happened with that client? You know, that's what I want to grow for myself here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because I know the two that I'm probably sure that we're on the same page.
Yes.
Of like, yeah, they said the same thing with their brokerage, different brokerage, but they were saying the same thing. It's like there's different avenues of earning money, and that's the one thing that she had
Yes.
said. It's like it's the revenue share on everything. It's like.
Yeah.
That's a massive thing from what she was telling me. I was just like, my jaw hit the floor. I'm like, what?
It's,
I was just like, the numbers that she
Yeah.
was saying was just unreal. And
no,
I'm like,
it's like, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Once you grow your
whoa.
network, and you know, I'll let others tell their own story, but it's like I know I have colleagues that have 200, 300 agents within their network.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like now I'm stepping into a leadership. I'm stepping into mentorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so now like the books I'm reading is more geared to that, because I'll have to be a little bit less selfish with my
more.
time, and I'll have to be available to agents that are joining as well,
Yeah.
to be able to pour into them and give them the secrets and the formulas
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
on things, and I'm okay with that because it's all going to like a better cause, and it'll help with their business, because eventually they'll get to a level where they're attracting their own agents as well and building up their own stream. Yeah. So I do like that, and I do like that, you know, I hate the word pyramid scheme or anything like that.
Kind of.
You know
but
what I
not,
mean?
And not really.
I
Because
do
those
like-
other pyramid schemes, and I've seen.
Yeah.
It's
I call them teams.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a team because
It's a team.
yes,
You
Yeah.
help each
ish,
other.
but not
Yes.
not really. Like
I like that I'm not dipping into the agent's pot. Like, let's say you're on an 80-20 split. Revenue share comes from the 20 that goes to the broker. It doesn't touch the 80 that came
80
from the
from the
agent.
80.
okay, yeah. See,
So
and
I don't
that's
like
a-
dipping into that
And
pot.
that's that the other
Yeah.
would be a pyramid scheme, not
Yes.
not what this is, because it's completely different, but it's
Right.
ish.
Yeah.
ish, because
I look into that
similarities,
model.
but not really.
Yeah, no, obviously, like every time I make a switch, which I think this is it for me. I had a friend make a comment like, where are you at now? But the reality of our clients never realize where we're at.
They don't
It's
care
about the
either.
service we get them. But I was told from early on, like, you don't marry into a brokerage. Even new agents, when they say, where should I go interview with? I'm like, you're interviewing brokerages.
Yes.
You're asking them what they
Yes.
can do for you. I don't want to
Yeah.
misquote a
There was,
quote, but
there was somebody that said that recently that I talked to. They're like, no,
Yeah.
you need to find the spot that's right for you.
yeah.
And that spot's not going to be the same forever.
Right.
It's
No.
just like you don't live in the same house forever.
No, you outgrow things, and that's okay. And
Yeah.
that's no shade to anybody you know, but it's just you have to know when you've outgrown something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people all the time. It's like, for where I'm at right now, it's the perfect spot for me right now.
Yes.
In the future, I know it might not be there,
Right.
but I'm always gonna like
You'll
be
cross that
thankful.
bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll cross that bridge when it's time to cross that bridge.
Right.
That's probably not for another 10, 15 years from
Mm-hmm.
now. And there's no telling where Joe's going to be at 10, 15 years from
No,
now. And I tell people that
either.
all the time. Like, I will stick with this team because they have the best team.
Yeah, and they pour into you.
Yes.
I know Joe pours into
Oh,
you guys.
yeah. And he's very, very motivating. I mean, last month was my best month that I've ever had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a long road to get there,
Yeah.
but it was the best month that I've ever had.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, dude, here you go. This is, for your accomplishment. He got me a pair of whiskey glasses from my favorite football
Yeah.
team. And he's like, hey, there's something in the office that smells like shit. You need to get it out of the office. And I was like, I knew exactly what he was
Yeah.
saying. But that's the type of relationship that me and Joe have. He likes to talk his
Yeah.
smack, and it's like, and it's like, throw it right back at him.
Yes.
It's like, but it's the camaraderie that we have in that
Yes.
team at Leader One. It's like no other.
Yeah,
like,
it's a good vibe to go in there.
oh,
yeah.
it's a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
we're always cracking jokes. We had Nerf guns at one point when we were
Yeah.
different. Yeah. Oh,
and
dude,
you guys are always available.
Oh,
That's what I'll say about my lender
100%.
partners. Like, you have to be available. I want to stay updated on files. I
Yeah.
want to be able to walk in and there's Mitchell. There's, you guys. So, yeah.
Speaking
Kudos
of
to you guys.
leadership, you chair YPN
I
a couple
did.
years ago.
I did.
Yeah.
Was it
How
with
was that?
Merced or what?
It was the Merced
Oh,
one.
okay.
When I was at
Just
Keller
before my
Williams,
time.
yeah, when
Your
I was
time.
at Keller Williams Fresno, I did join as a member, Fresno YPN, with Brandon and Joel and all of them out there, Adriana. And that was the year, or I mean, maybe the year after they won the National Association of the Year. So they've always done it at a high level, and then
still
when
do.
they still, yes. And so when I moved to Merced, I don't know what was really going on, but I attended my first association meeting, and that's what I would encourage all new agents to get
Yeah.
involved in the association. And I went into that meeting, your first meeting, you introduce yourself, and usually
Yeah.
it's like,
I'm a new
"Hi,
person."
I'm Amanda, with so-and-so, and you sit down. And I was like, no, I'm gonna, talk a little bit more and really make an impact at this meeting. And it was Anna Newkirk that was the president at that time, and Mary Camper was the intern, or, the
VP,
vice. Yeah.
Or the vice, yes.
Yeah. And so I said that in my intro. I'm Amanda
wow.
Rodriguez. I'm with EXP Realty at the time. And, I want to get involved in this association. And so they let me run with that. And they held
They
me
let
to
you.
that. And they said, YPN kind of needs a little bit of reigniting, and would you want to be chair? So I was like, let me step into this. And Robert DeLine at the time, Caitlin Bennett, there was a few of us there. We brought back the rib cook-off,
Yeah.
probably the hottest day of the year. Not too many people were happy with me that day, but we did raise a good amount of money.
Yeah.
We had the golf tournament, so that was, definitely a good year.
That's good. How's
And
Robert? How's
Robert?
the vice chair or co-chair?
He was good.
How
He's
he?
was on the spreadsheets, man. He
Yes.
had all his spreadsheets ready. I'm a
numbers.
spreadsheet gal, so I ran with that.
I like spreadsheets too, but I'm not very good at starting them. But
Oh,
if you
yeah.
give me one that's already pre-filled
Yes.
out, I'm
You
could go with
using
that.
it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes, yeah. I love a good spreadsheet.
What
That's
would your
all.
advice be for? I know you said go to the association.
Sure.
What else would you advise to the newer agents?
Yeah.
Or
I guess it's just immerse yourself in the industry, know your data, look up the MLS, do open houses, I wouldn't have any listings or any even buyer leads at one point, and I would ask, Ranjit Singh or somebody hey, can I make some content from your house and, your listing and
Yeah.
post that online too, just to start getting some content out there. There's always content you can grab. I will say you have to go about it the right way and
Yes.
always make sure that you're respecting the listing agent and that is their listing,
Yes.
and making sure you're giving recognition to them, however you plan to do that on your caption or your post. So just, the ethics is still there for sure.
Yeah.
It's just also figuring out like what your path is, what do you want to be known for? I have a friend in Fresno, Charles, who's the foodie realtor, and he has found much success on being involved in the community, the gaming lender, you know what I mean? You have to find your niche, what you're passionate about, and how you're going to run with that. Mine is kind of like the legacy. I bring grandma in there. People know who my mom and grandma is. There's 3 generations of us. And there's a little bit, that's the humanification, if that's a word.
I get
you know what I mean? So just kind of figuring out which way you want to formulate your content too, and being open to content. I think we're already there where it's like 100% needed. You need to be. You have to be.
You have to create your own identity too.
Yes.
Like, and it's the human element, the human side element of everything is everything. So like everybody knows that I'm into gaming. I'm into UFC. So I even made a post about like there's no gaming, there's no lending talk. Let's talk UFC.
Yeah.
It did so well, and it was such a simple video. I put very little thought into it. I was like, I used to do like, oh my God, this is back in 2009 when YouTube first started. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to talk about mixed martial arts. I did a few videos like that, and I just got burnt out from doing it. For like almost a year, I did it consistently every single week, except when there was no fights that weekend.
Right.
But that was something that I did. The channel's still active, but I mean not active, but you can still find it. And that's what got me that job with Centurion Boats is like, hey, look, this is what I used to do back in 2009.
Right.
I got into college. My grandmother was getting sick with dementia, so it was becoming harder for me to do those types of videos back then. So, but yeah, that's,
And just knowing like once you post one video, you have to be consistent. And I'm always thinking about that, like what my digital footprint will be eventually. Like I don't need to talk about everything, but I got my first $1 million client, and her family probably could have went with any realtor. I'm sure her parents had great realtors they could have used in town. But she said, I've been following you for years. I've learned some things from your videos. And I told my husband, like, I want to use you. And so you just never know who's watching as well.
That far.
Even you saying that, like my name coming up, like I would have never ever thought that, I hear that from time to time, and every time it flatters me. But, I just kind of post my content and go. I try not to consume like so much, I try to just utilize, just like we are talking about controlling our day. I think we can control, how we utilize social media so that we're not like doom scrollers.
Oh, man.
But I do don't get me wrong. I do have my doom
scrolling. Doom scrolling is a good analogy for that.
Yeah.
You could be a consumer or you could be a producer.
Or the creator.
Somebody else told me, you don't have to try too hard to post. Like, just post.
Yeah.
You don't have to
just
try
post.
hard. People just want to like see like who you are genuinely and authentically. Know that try hard and all that
and now I have like a videographer, a couple that I use, but if they're not available and I wanted to post something about Main Street construction, I'll set up my phone and just do a quick voiceover. And a lot of my videos I don't like plan out unless like with the videographers we try to, but most I'm just kind of going off the fly. Yeah, and that's the best content, honestly.
It really is, because it's more authentic. You're not reading from a script, and it just flows so much better. And that's what I tell people all the time. It's like when it comes to like doing the podcast, we were emailing each other earlier. Like, was it yesterday or this morning? Yeah. And I was like, it's just a conversation. We usually don't. We have like some bullet points that we're gonna hit, but we're not gonna be like, we got to talk about this. And it's just like it just flows so much better. Yeah. So
because the audience can see that.
Yeah. So speaking of downtown, how did opening up your office downtown, like, was that like a priority to have it downtown?
So I looked at this space. There was something in like the Bear Creek Gallery I kind of checked out, but I'm like, oh, it's close to my house. This would be nice. Close to my girls at Haven. I can get my hair cut, And so I was just when I first, I've always enjoyed downtown. It's just nice to kind of have this vibe here. There's so many small business owners that, I've grown up with, and now they're doing their own thing. So it's really nice to kind of be in this community.
Spending all my money.
Oh, I tell her, just start me a tab. They're closed Mondays, but I'm like, should I get a new shirt today? Sometimes I go to Luna Star Monica, I was rushing to appointments, and I knew these clients always bring their parents, and it gets hot. I was wearing a tank top. I was like, I'm going to meet the parents. Let me go stop. I actually got this cover up last week, and I'm like, support local. I'd rather support local anyways. Destino's, I had lunch today there.
I had Destino's there, I think, last week, and I was talking to another agent. I was like, hey, let's go to Destino's. He's like, oh, dude, I've only been to like Chili's and Applebee's. And I'm like,
Are you kidding me?
There's so many other things.
I don't
I was
even,
like, dude, there's so-
like, no shade to Chili's. Like,
No,
we're
no,
giving a lot of no shade.
honestly,
but
like,
I
with-
have not been to Chili's since it opened here.
yeah, but I mean, if you're a
Me
baller
neither.
on a budget, yeah, definitely go to Chili's. They have like really great deals.
that's
But I
true,
mean,
that's
if you
true.
have the money,
Baller
to-
on a budget, come to Supermarket Super Tuesday, where they have $3 burgers at Pretty Good Burger.
Really?
Okay, yeah, no,
Tuesdays,
dude,
$2
Tuesdays?
pizza slices.
I swear, Pretty Good Burger is
Yeah.
the best burger in town. Like,
Yeah.
it's a different style. Like, don't get me wrong, I do still love H&W, but
I
that's
know.
a completely different style of burger, and that's like the Scream Queen during
Oh,
Halloween
yeah.
season. Oh my god, I love that burger.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It's amazing what they've done. Yeah.
So you're self-made successful, and you've already achieved a lot. What's next for you?
retiring at 40. I'm just
He is 55.
No, truly just, probably growing out this office a bit. I was telling Cam in Fresno, I'm a little lonely, just being here. And I'm, like I said, I'm starting to talk to agents that are good friends of mine. I mean, a lot of us, as we're in this industry and we're in these, associations and different networks, going to broker opens, like my greatest colleagues in this are not with my brokerage, right? It's like we have this kind of camaraderie, and that all helps us when we're looking for deals for our buyers or our
different
sellers.
ideas.
I'm like, hey, Mary, do you have anything coming up?
Yep.
So that it's really, really key to form these relationships and not look at each other as competition. I think there's plenty of market and
Correct.
houses out there. We'll attract the clients that we attract. But no, to go back to your question, really just kind of not filling this office up, being a little
growing
selective, but to kind of grow and to show people the ins and outs of the brokerage. And then from there, just continuing to kind of live freely and soft. And, I know one day grandma will pass and that's going to be a tough time, but, she was a field worker. Like, she would not want me to curl up in a ball for weeks or anything like that. I would have to be after it. The next day.
I know that too well because my grandmother, little known tidbit is my grandmother actually, she didn't do the construction it was called the Boulder Dam, but now we know it as the Hoover Dam.
Oh yeah.
So she actually would cook for the boarders. So she had a part in all of that in
That's amazing.
in Las Vegas. So
That's there's 3 states that connect there. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
gone
You
to
can
multiple-
stand.
Yeah, it's so cool.
yeah, so just to note, that's part of my
That's
I would
crazy.
say that's part of my my family history.
That's
is that
very cool.
She helped cook for the boarders, and something
Yeah.
that she would always cook was the tortillas.
Yeah.
And that's something that I know how to do.
Yeah.
the tortilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that I learned how to do because when she was going through her Alzheimer, we'd always have her cook tortillas because that's something that she loved to do, and then she would always love ironing.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "Why are you making your grandmother work?" I was like,
Love
"You
that for
have
You
no
don't know
idea.
grandparents.
You have no idea."
She loved ironing.
Yeah, she
Aw.
loved ironing, and she's like, and we would. I feel like people are like, "Do you feel bad?" I'm like, dude, you have no idea. You need to have this lady work because that's what she loves to do, and it keeps her brain functioning and it keeps her going. So, but
That's what
once she went into a home, that's kind of like when we start to see the massive decline into that. So, you got to keep them working. You got to keep the brain functioning. So when you say she's up early and we're going to go have breakfast, I'm like, that's something that I missed about, my grandmother. She's no longer here. So,
I'm sorry.
that's one of the things that I do miss. So,
Humans are programmed to feel every emotions, and with my grandma, it's like I'll tickle her to annoy her because I want her to get a little angry.
Yeah.
And then she forgets in a minute.
Yeah, no, I know. And
it's you got to keep them.
People who don't experience it will never understand.
Yeah,
And when you said that, I was like, I know exactly where you're coming from. And so I even have a tattoo of it on my chest. So there's it's like a 3-in-1 tattoo.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah, I definitely, that's the goal is, to make her proud. And my mom, my mom's her primary caregiver. She's one of 7 siblings, and unfortunately she's the only one caring. Some family members come and visit here and there, but my goal is to be able to, when grandma is not with us, I want my mom to travel. I want to take her first class around the world. I want her to enjoy life and experience life and rest, so that is I think we, going back to new agents, find your why, what your purpose is. My why is I've got to, build a savings to be able to do that for my mom one day, so, and a lot of it also, if we go back to the question of what I see for myself, community, And that's a big reason why I'm downtown, you know. I needed some things done around my office, and I told my coach, I was like, you know what I thought of last night? I want to like go back to Merced High and kind of pour back into them. So I offered a paid internship to Merced High students only. I'll probably will open that up maybe next year to all high schools, but I wanted to do something for my first like internship like that to Merced, my alma mater. And that was great. I told those students, hey, send me a video. I don't want your parents to DM me like, my son would be great for this. Like, send me a video. Going back to like my first job at being at the register, like show the initiative, show, you know, you're charismatic and show your personality. And I got like 9 submissions, and I wish I could have hired them all because they were so good.
Yeah.
You know, and particularly though this gentleman, this young boy, is junior, senior, white shirt button up. He was in the backyard, had the camera set up, had his notes, and he took what I was saying I needed, you know, like these pictures framed, things like that, ordered and framed. He's like, I have experience in Adobe Photoshop, and I could be great here, you know.
That's
so
massive.
he really took what I was asking for and put that in. And that kid's going to go places. All of them are going to go places, you know, and I'll probably utilize those other students who submitted for other times of mine. But so I'm I always try to think and be creative there, like, how do I want to give back into the community that raised me, for sure. I want to utilize this space. Like I was mentioning off camera, you know, I'm big into like live music, and I grew up when I was in LA, like going to DJ sets. So what's stopping me? I pay the rent here. What's stopping me from having a DJ and just a hangout day? Nothing. I'm not selling real estate in your face. Like, no, it's just for either my clients or friends, family to come on by and have a good time on a Saturday, you know? So I'll probably have some pop-up events like that.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Anybody that you want to say special thank yous to or highlight today?
I mean, just kind of going back in my career, obviously my mom, Juanita, has been a huge, you know, just support for me. Cam and Darren Wade have been amazing. But I mean, everybody I've ever worked with at any of these brokerages, you know, like, yeah, we move on and maybe we go to different places, but there's so many memories that we keep with these other agents, the admin, the ladies at the desk, you know, that are really the backbones of all these brokerages. And, you know, like it all kind of has helped me mold me into the realtor I am today, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
was that already an hour?
45.
About 45 minutes.
About 45, yeah.
So,
that went by faster than you, right?
It did.
How can people get a hold of you? Instagram, Facebook?
My Instagram is Selling Casas, homes in Spanish for those that don't. Casas.
Like that's English and Spanish.
Yeah, Selling_Casas.
Okay.
I'm down here on Main Street, but Amanda Rodriguez, Real Brokerage, is my brokerage. And so, yes, I think Selling Casas is my Instagram is my main kind of avenue there.
Awesome. Yeah, so just a little bit of house cleaning at the end of this.
Okay.
We do have the rib cook-off coming July 11th.
July 11th.
So we're serving lunch from 12 to 2?
12 to 2.
12
yes,
to
at
2.
the association.
At the association, we will have a DJ there at 10 o'clock, still in the works on who the DJ is going to be. I'll be one of the MCs as well as Michael Gomez. I think that is correct. I know for sure that I'm going to be one of the MCs. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to that.
How did the golf tournament go?
Golf tournament was
turned
really
out
good.
great.
Yeah,
we
it was
had
really good.
like over 100 people, I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, there was over 100 people.
We raised a good amount of money.
Really?
The food was
That's awesome.
great.
Yeah,
Hector does a great job. Like I give him a lot of things, but like one of those a lot of things that I give him is like he's really good with organizing.
Yes.
Whether it's a calendar or an event or he's great at that, and he was the mastermind behind that.
Love
so
it.
we turned it
Very
turned out
detail oriented.
pretty very detail oriented.
Good.
He's got
Joe
a
did the
delicate-
food there?
No.
Because Joe's always doing the food everywhere.
Yeah,
we had tacos from like a Mexican vendor.
Nice.
Do you remember who that was?
No, but it was a local
It was
vendor.
really good.
Nice,
Hopefully on the
good.
next episode of the podcast, we'll have that name for it. But
We're
yeah, they
hoping
were
that
really
Joe
good.
comes and cooks for the rib cook-off, though.
Yeah, he's going to be out
I
of
know, you said
town.
that.
Unfortunately, he's
he
going to be out of
gives
town
so
that
much of
weekend.
his time and his own money into
the
those
community.
pods. Like, it's so amazing.
Yeah, so like
that's awesome.
The sheriff will be there cooking,
yes,
though.
Sheriff Warnke will be there again.
Is he a judge?
No, he's cooking.
cooking.
He got second place last year. Is that right?
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
First place
last year was a party. We're hoping to continue it to be a pretty big party as well. You know, a lot of people come around and we're, making jokes, having food.
Funds go to the Housing Affordability Fund. So for those first-time home buyers that are low on like
Funds to close. Yeah.
we're able to help.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That goes not for just YPM people, but anybody,
Yeah.
that's part of the Merced Association or anybody in general.
long as
can
it's in
talk
Merced
with us.
County.
As long as it's in Merced County,
Yes.
basically.
There you
You
go.
just have to be by Merced County. And so.
Well, if you ever want to do any lunch and learns, I offer you my space here.
Okay.
I'll get a couple more tables for you.
Okay, and you got a nice little
I got
TV
the
right
TV
there.
back
Yeah.
here.
Maybe
So-
you have to give a class on like the sauce and secrets.
Yeah,
That's real estate.
definitely.
But thank you for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for
We
coming.
wish you a lot more success.
I appreciate it.
There's
Thank
a
you.
lot
Yeah.
of people
Same to
looking.
you guys. Yeah.
All right, and that's going to be it for today.
Episode 20.
Episode 28.
28.
Yeah, that
like
was
my
a pleasure.
age. Just kidding.
Guys, but that's going to conclude the podcast for today. Until next time, we'll see you around.
Thanks, guys.